Here we are again with the Total Mind Fitness Wellbeing Workout, and welcome to all of you watching right now and listening. Put your details in the comments. Say hello. Tell me where you're coming in from. How's your day today? Well, if I look out the window right now, I can see that there's a lot of clouds coming over, and that's just the way things are. Sometimes there's sun outside, sometimes there's clouds outside. Sometimes it's a nice blue sky. Sometimes it's a little bit more gray and a little bit more darker. That's the way the world works. We're in a rhythm. Sometimes we're up in the peaks. Sometimes we're going quite the way down into the troughs, and then we come back up into the peaks again. That's how our heart beats. That's how our biorhythms are. That's how nature is. And that's how we live in this world, by being human. What do you really want? That's the question. What do you really want? Sometimes we just need to stop and ask ourselves this question. What actually matters? What matters to you in your life? Stick in the comments. What matters to you? What the big picture? The big picture. What matters to you in this life? What brings meaning to you in this life? Okay, put hello in the comments. Let's see where you're coming in from. This is about peer-to-peer support. This is about helping each other. This is about building the community. This is about working together. Don't forget to share and like and tag and hearts and watch party and everything that we need to do. So say hello in the comments. See where we can get today about talking about what matters. We're talking about the bigger picture today. We're talking about building that inner motivation. This whole Total Mind Fitness workout is not about making things great. It's not about production. We're not machines. It's not about having to do something. It's basically about two things. On one side, to distinguish the things that are not in our control and to be able to manage that. So that might be thoughts that are not in our control, feelings that are not in our control, body sensations that are not in our control. That's the inner events that are not in our control. There's also outer events that are not in our control. We can't control what this virus is doing. We can't control who gets and who doesn't get sick. We can't control government decisions, okay? We can't control even what the next person to us is thinking or doing, okay? So there's outer things that are not in our control. There's inner things that are not in our control. And if we try to control them, and this is the big problem, if we try to control these things, they usually bounce back into our face. They usually come back to bite us. They usually get worse than they are at the moment. On the other hand, there are things that are in our control. We can choose how to behave in our life. We can choose what's important in our life. We can choose what matters in our life and then act accordingly. Okay, so if something is important in your life and you've chosen it and you've decided that's what matters, that's what it's important, then we can learn skills to enact that out and walk in that direction of value to us. So these two things is what this Total Mind Fitness Wellbeing workout is all about. And that's what being human is all about. It's being able to understand what's not in our control and being able to manage that without trying to control it. And choosing what matters in our life, what value is in our life, what purpose and meaning is in our life, and act, behave, get up in the morning and do things according to what we've chosen is important in our life. So put in the comments, what is important in your life? What's the big picture? What gives you meaning? What gives you purpose? And if you haven't thought about it before, that's okay, because so many people don't think about this. I never used to think about this either until I was taught, and I started to contemplate. I started to think about it. What actually matters to me in my life? Maybe there was a time where I was going down the road trying to control everything around me, trying to make sure that it was all the way I wanted it. And it just doesn't work that way. Okay. And the more we try to control things, the more it comes back on us, and the more we sink down into that feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. Okay, so we have to learn to, first of all, identify the things that are not in our control and either let them be or manage them in a certain way. And we can learn those skills. That's what we do here. On the other hand, there are things that are important to us, the things that matter to us, the things that we want our lives to be about. And we need to be able to verbalize them. We need to be able to write them down. We need to be able to express them. What is my life about? What brings meaning to my life? What brings purpose to my life? And we have all sorts of different tasks and responsibilities in our life. So we might be a parent. So we ask ourselves, as a parent, what matters to me? As a parent, what is important to me? As a parent, how do I want to live my life? We might be a brother or a sister. As a brother or sister, what's important to me? As a brother and sister, what matters to me? As a brother and sister, how do I want to live that in my life? We might be a child, our parents. So towards our parents, what matters to us? Towards our parents, what is my sense of purpose? Towards my parents, what is important to me, and act that out. As a friend, what's important to me? As a friend, what matters to me? As a friend, how do I want to behave to my friend? As a neighbor, what's important to me? As a neighbor, what matters to me? As a neighbor, how do I want to behave? As a member of my community, what's important to me? As a member of my community, what matters to me? As a member of my community, how do I want to behave? As a spouse and partner, what matters to me? As a spouse and partner, what's important to me? And as a spouse and partner, how do I want to behave? As an individual human being, what matters to me? As an individual human being, what is important to me? As an individual human being, how do I want to behave? This is what we need to do. We need to have some sort of examination of who we are and what we want. If we want to raise the quality of our life, if we want to live life of meaning and purpose, if we want to live a life that we can be proud of, that we can wake up in the morning, that will have internal, intrinsic motivation to live, then we need to know what's important. What's important to us? We're not saying what does your parents want you to be important, what society wants to be important for you, what your community wants you to be important for them, what your family want you to be important. No, we're asking, what do you want? Ask of myself, what is important to me in this life? What matters to me in this life? What is the purpose for me in this life? And then go out and live that. Live the person that you want to be. If you have an ideal type of person that you want to be in your head, start living that person even though you're not there yet. It's not about faking it till you're making it, but it's about living it. It's about living the way that you would want to live. It's about living the way that you need to live, because that is what's inside you. So put in the comments. Let's see where you're coming in from. Say hello in the comments. Let's see where our watchers and listeners and viewers are coming in from. What's important to you in your life? What matters to you in your life? Stick it in the comments. What matters to you? What do you want your life to be about? It's all within your reach. It really is. We're talking about the T.R.I.U.M.P system here, from trauma to triumph. And now we're worldwide, we're all going through a certain amount of traumatic situations. Whether it's traumatic situations in the financial situation, whether it's a traumatic situation in our health and our health anxiety, whether it's a traumatic situation in just taking care of our families and our parents, whether it's a traumatic situation of just getting through day to day because of the way that we're living right now. But we want to take that traumatic situation and we want to go to post-traumatic growth. We want to be able to build our resilience. We want to be able to build who we are. Okay? So that's really, really important that we learn how to do this. And we learn how to do this by following the T.R.I.U.M.P system. Okay, so we want to be able to transform ourselves through transforming our behavior, to transforming our habits. This is really important for us. Okay, and behavior within it has all different elements, and that's what we're going through when we go through this Total Mind Fitness Wellbeing workout. And the first part of it is the B. The B in behavior is about having behavioral goals. It's about being able to choose for ourselves, how do we want to behave? It's about choosing for ourselves, what do we want our life to be about? And being able to act it out, to be able to behave in that way. So first of all, we need to sit down and say, what are my behavioral goals? What are the types of behavior that will increase my chance of living a higher quality life? It's not just about buying the cars or getting the jobs or buying a new house or going on a holiday twice a year. It's not about these type of goals. It's about how do I want to live type of goals. It's about how do I want to change my behavior so that it benefits me and my friends and family type of goals. It's about how my behavior will influence the quality of my life type of goals. So we need to sit down and work out what will increase the chance of me living a quality life in the way that I behave. Okay. One way of trying to, juggle that around is by asking myself, if everything was level, if everything was exactly the way I want it, what kind of things would I do differently? Right? What would I start doing that I'm not doing now? What would I stop doing that I am doing now? Okay. How would I treat myself differently? How would I treat others differently? How would I treat the world differently if everything was exactly the way that I would like it? And that's what we're talking about in the B. We're talking about finding out what is it in our lives, that we would like to change to make our behavior better. And then we went on to the E. The E is about being engaged in what we are doing. It's about taking that actual step in the direction of what matters. It's about taking the first step in that behavior that we want to do. That behavior that will increase the quality of our life. And taking that step today, right now. Taking that step today. Okay, that's the E in the behavior. Being engaged, being involved in what we're doing. Okay. And then we went on to the H, and the H is about treating ourselves as whole human beings. It's not just about getting our body fit. That's great. It's not just about getting our mind fit. That's also good. It's not just about getting our spiritual soul fit. That's also good. But it's about getting them all fit together. Everything is connected. Our body, our soul, our mind is all connected with each other. So it's really important that we work on all of them. Right? Sometimes we do a little bit of body work. Sometimes we're doing mind work. Sometimes we're doing soul work. Soul is about what's the meaning in your life, what's the purpose in your life. Mind is about how you engage or not engage with your thoughts and your feelings and your body sensations and all that mindy stuff that sometimes hijacks us and takes us away. How do we manage all that mindy stuff? And our body is about getting exercise. It's about getting sleep. It's about feeding it the right foods. It's about being able to move. So it's important that we treat ourselves holistically, attending to each of these things together and individually. And then we went on to the A in behavior, and the A in behavior is about being aware, taking that moment to pause, just to pause, not to stop completely, just to pause. Take that deep breath. Just stop where you are if you can, if it's safe to do so. Take the deep breath, sit down, and just pause. And be aware. Be aware of where you are right now. Look around. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you smell? Maybe you have a taste in your mouth. Using your senses to get a sense of awareness. Become aware of your thoughts, some of them pleasant and some of them uncomfortable. Some of them might even be sad and painful. Become aware of your emotions. Put your hand on your chest or over your heart and just pause with your emotions at this point. Life, especially during these days, can be an emotional roller coaster. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. This is a time where our tolerance is going down and our irritability is going up. So pause. Hand on our chest or over our heart and one hand on our tummy. Or if you want, give yourself a hug. One hand under your armpit and one hand just under your shoulder. And just hold that for a while. Let's produce some oxytocin, the love drug, the hug drug inside us. And just pause. Pause with the hardship. Be aware that it's not easy during these days. Being aware that we just have to pause and take it in. Allow our mind to understand what's going on. Allow our body to adjust and acclimatize to this new situation, which can be very irritable. Just be here with yourself and the others that are around you. Take a breath. Let it go. That's the aware in behavior. And the V in behavior is what we're talking about today. The V is about values. The B is about what matters. The V is about what do you want your life to stand for? What do you want your life to be about? What purpose? What meaning? This value, this purpose, this meaning, this what matters is what motivates human beings. This is what gets us up in the morning and out of bed and going through the hardships that we go through, because we connect to what matters to us. We connect to what we want our life to stand for. And we go out there and we do it. Sometimes even if it's very difficult. Sometimes even when we don't really want to. But we know that it's important to us as individuals. We know that it's important to our families. We know that it's important to our friends. For instance, while we're on lockdown, what matters is that we contribute to society by not overloading the health services in our countries. And by not overloading the health services in our countries, they will be able to deal with the people who are severely ill. And if they're able to deal with the people who are severely ill, they will be able to save lives. So what's important to us is to contribute to society and save other people's lives. And even though we don't want to stay in our houses and not go out, even though it's uncomfortable to stay in our houses and not go out, understanding why, understanding what matters, understanding the importance that we have to contributing and saving lives will give us the motivation to be able to do what's uncomfortable, to be able to do what's hard, to be able to do what we don't want to do, and that's stay inside, stay at home. And that's an example. That's an example to other things in our life that we don't want to do, that's very difficult to do, that we wish we could do something else, that is painful to do sometimes. But we know why we're doing it. We know what matters about what we're doing. We know that it's important to us why we're doing it. So we've got Denise saying she's back. Denise is in the house and she's back. Wonderful. Great to have you in here, Denise. Brilliant. You work today, Denise. Denise works in the NHS, and we're so proud of Denise and the work that her and her colleagues are doing. So it's great to have you back here. What we're talking about is the value of our lives, what matters in our lives, what do we want our lives to stand for, because this gives us the motivation to go on. It gives us the motivation to do what's right, to do what's good for us, to do what's good for our families, to do what's good for our friends and community and society as a whole. But we need to verbalize it. We need to understand what's good for us as individuals first. What is our individual importance? What's our individual meaning in our lives? One way of doing this is to think back when we had a connection to someone special in our life. What was it that that connection meant to you? What was that memory that comes up when you think about the connection that you've had with someone very special? And try and connect to what it is, what mattered, what was important about that connection, or somebody that you're connected with right now. What is it that's underneath the connection? What is it that really matters about the connection? What is the value that underpins everything that you're doing with that person? On the other hand, maybe you know somebody that you really disapprove of what they're doing, or you really dislike what they're doing. You know, how would you act differently if you were in their shoes? What way would you do it? This is not about judging others. This is about between you and yourself. What kind of things would you do, things that you don't like being done in this world? How would you do it? Sometimes when we see things that we don't like in this world, or we don't like the way other people are behaving, it's because it's connecting to something that's really important to us. And when we understand maybe the injustice, maybe the pain, we can understand also what's really important to us. So when we look at pain and we can open up the pain and see what is it that's really important to us, that's at the root of this pain. Because if it wasn't important to us, we might not even feel any pain. It might not even bother us in any way. So when something bothers us, when something is really painful, or we see something that really annoys us, or we see something that really gets us angry, pause for a minute and open up inside and say, what is it of value there? What is it that's really important there that matters to me in my life? It's a good way of finding out what really matters, what you want your life to stand for. And because the things that we want our life to stand for, yeah, it'll also be the root of some of our pain. Because when we have something of real value, there's a certain amount of pain that goes with it. If you had in your hand a really, really precious gem, really precious, let's say that was totally unique and priceless, and you really had lots of joy that you've got it. Now think of the pain that would go with that. The worry about losing it. The worry about where are you going to put it. Are you going to carry it in your hand all the time? Are you going to be able to trust the place that you put it down to rest until you come back later on to check if it's there? Are you going to be able to trust it with somebody else, or even in a place? Or maybe you might put it in a very safe place. Are you going to now trust yourself that you remember where you put it? How many passwords do we have? And we write down here and there and everywhere so that we don't forget the actual password, because the password is really important. So things that are precious and important to us, we worry about losing them. We worry about them being damaged. We worry about them getting ill. We worry about them, any ailments that they might get. We worry about being able to look after them. All these things because they're very valuable to us, very dear to us. So in our pain is our value. In our pain is what matters in this life. In our pain is where our the things in our life that really, really has purpose and meaning for us. Okay, so that's what it's all about. It's about finding what is it in our lives that we want to stand for. It's about being able to transform our behavior and our habits. And that's what we're talking about. Believe me, it's within your reach. Believe me, we can all do it. Believe me, no matter what situation we're in now, no matter how stuck we feel, we're learning the skills together about coming out of this pit and being able to transform our behavior and our habits, and being able to raise the quality of our life. It is within our reach. It is about being triumphant. It is about moving from trauma to triumph. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see each other, please God, very soon for another episode of It's Within Your Reach, From Trauma to Triumph, the Total Mind Fitness Wellbeing Workout.